Oh boy, it's time to talk about big stumpy robots! Wow! Welcome back to the Red Ones Go Fast. Old Big Mek here, and it's time for the last entry in our Battleforce series, where we are talking about the 5 new Warhammer 40,000 Battleforces for the holiday season 2024. So let's get into it! You know, I thought putting your squid calf in a red mug would make you get caffeinated faster. I think it just gives you the runs faster. Alright, let's get into it. So yes, it is Battleforce week. Games Workshop has announced the pre-order for all of their Holiday Battleforces is going to start tomorrow, Saturday, November 16th. For those of you that are unaware or kind of new to the hobby, every year for the last quite a few years now, Games Workshop has released a ginormous Holiday Battleforce, a number of them, for both Age of Sigmar and Warhammer 40,000 for the holiday season. It's a great way to ask for something as a gift, give a gift to a friend, stuff like that, and it's a great savings because other than the combat patrols and the release boxes for new codexes and things, Games Workshop doesn't really do army deals or combined deals anymore. It used to be a really big thing that they would do all the time to make these combo boxes, and they really kind of fall out of it. So these Holiday Battleforces are pretty much the only time you get to save some money on multiple kits. Ergo, they're quite popular. Now, we've gone over 4 of the 5 already, and it is time for the last one, which is the Tau Empire. Now, every other channel that reviews these only looks at the dollar savings, maybe the points, and that's it. Old Big Mek takes it quite a few steps further, and I tell you how it works with the combat patrol, as well as what you can buy next to turn it into a full-fledged army. Because, and this is something that a lot of people get wrong, they think that these boxes are for current owners and collectors. If you play Tau, you're not going to buy this Tau box. That's not what it's for. Same with all of the other boxes. It's to entice somebody to start a new army. So when the people are complaining that, like, oh, why is Lionel Johnson in the Dark Angels box? Because if I want to start Dark Angels, I want Lionel Johnson. If I see that box at my friendly local game store, I am way more likely to pick it up because it's like, oh man, I've always kind of wanted to start that army, and here is like all of the things that are really cool. I want to pick it up and start the army. Once Games Workshop switched to that model, I think it was about 3 years ago, these Battleforces have been selling like absolute hotcakes, and just a lot of people haven't quite wrapped their heads around it yet. They're not for current army owners. They are for new army owners. So we are looking at this from the perspective of somebody that does not yet own Tau, but would like to. You can count me among that. All right, so what do we have? Let's take a look at it. This is the Retaliation Cadre. Front and center there, you can see a commander in battle suit with drone that could be built as either the Cold Star suit or the, I think it's the Retribution suit or something like that. But that is your commander. To the left of him, you will see just above another suit of a similar size with a great big giant gun. That right there is the broadside. Very, very cool suit. To the far left, the bigger suit with the red head that is a little bit more rounded, that is the Ghost Keel. That suit right there is one of the newest Tau kits and is extremely cool. And then the great big giant guy on the right, that is your Riptide. That is, I think, the second biggest Tau suit they make before you get into like Forge World stuff. All in all, you're looking at about 535 points in the box. It's one of the larger boxes as far as the deals go because they are some bigger suits, they are some higher points costs, and frankly, a lot of the other boxes are a whole lot of really small point units. But you have some options within the box. The commander, like I was talking about, can be built one of 2 ways on the basis. The Cold Star one is 95 points, the other version is 80 points. There are multiple weapons loadouts for both. That is one of the things about Tau, is that you have a lot of weapons to choose from. I would highly recommend investing in magnets for this army, specifically for this box. You don't want to buy these really expensive kits over and over and over again just to build them with different weapon options if you want to try out the different weapons. And the weapons really do look very, very different. So it's not easy to you kind of orc it up and go, oh yeah, it's a big shoot of flame of scorch or whatever. Nah, you can't get away with that as much with the Tau. So I would highly recommend investing in some magnets, magnetizing these models. But yeah, it does have the commander. You want at least one commander in battle suit in your army, so it is a good addition. But we'll circle back to that one in a second. The broadside is really, really good. Now, the broadside doesn't have as many weapon options. The big main gun is all you get as far as the main weapon. What you get are those secondary weapons, the shoulder-mounted things. Again, go with magnets. The other great thing about the magnets is if you make all of your polarities the same, you can then swap all those shoulder options across all of your different Tau army, or all of your different Tau battle suits. And as you expand, you just get more and more and more options so that you can try different things out. You can even magnetize the drones, really, the little bottom pieces to them, if you wanted to have shield drones versus gun drones versus command drones. But frankly, drones are really, really cheap, so, you know, you don't really need to do that. You could pick up extra drones really cheap all the time. Yeah, so maybe not waste the magnets on those. But the weapon options, especially the shoulders and your main guns, you do want to do that. The Ghost Keel. So the old Combat Patrol for Tau had a Ghost Keel in it. It was a fantastic Combat Patrol. That one is long gone. If you can find it at a discount or even full retail price, it's a good buy. Don't overpay for it. The whole point of Combat Patrol boxes is that they are discounted, that they are cheaper. So overpaying for one doesn't make a lick of sense. The concept behind the Ghost Keel is it's the stealth suit scaled up by a bunch. If you look at the Tau battle suits, there's like 2 or 3 different really kind of main designs in them. For example, that commander and that broadside, they both look like your standard crisis suit like series. And then there's kind of more of the bigger suit version, like your Riptide and the Storm Surge. But then there is the stealth suit, and the stealth suits have the kind of those big rounded pod heads on them instead of the little square sensor thingy on top. And that's what the Ghost Keel has, and that makes that suit probably the most unique Tau kit in the whole range. In fact, that's probably one of the coolest Warhammer 40K kits, period, across factions. You look at a picture of that thing, you look at it in person, you're like, man, this is cool. You get kind of Gundam vibes, but very much not Gundam. Gundam is very squared off, very kind of old school samurai looking as a robot. This is very modern. It's very, I don't know, you see a lot of like super modern sci-fi stuff in it, you know, maybe some video game influences. It's a really unique original design, and it's just super, super cool. And the loss of that from the Combat Patrol has definitely been felt. So them including it in this box is really cool. Finally, let's get to the Riptide. The Riptide, like I said, is the second biggest Tau suit you can get behind the Storm Surge. It is an absolute monster of a unit. It is well over $100, even on discount. You're basically, like, if you wanted one of those suits, paying a little bit more for this box instead to get the other 3 suits included is definitely worthwhile. And again, you're really going to want to magnetize this guy. This is basically the size of chassis, similar to like the Gorkanaut or Morkanaut for the orcs, or like the Eldar Wraith Knight thingy. Like, they are just huge. They are super massive, really, really cool in-game, really, really cool to build and paint. From a collector standpoint, from somebody that wants to get into Tau, I cannot overemphasize how exciting this particular box is. If you don't really know much about Warhammer 40,000, but you see it, you know, in your friendly local game store all the time, and you kind of see these suit boxes around, you're like, oh, those are kind of neat. And you walk in and you see this box, and you see those 4 big honking suits staring at you in the face, you're gonna want to buy it. Like, that's the thing. That's what all of these other channels just aren't getting, is that these are the units people want. These are the units that people are going to go, yes, you know what? So I'm in. Let's buy them. So I really think that even though this is the worst value per dollar, it's going to fly off the shelf. The other thing I want to point out is that everybody looking at the value per dollar, they're looking at the current retail prices of things. When Games Workshop increases their prices on stuff, it's not across the board. And the older kits tend to stay cheaper than the newer kits. Now, the Ghost Keel is the newest kit in this set by a long shot. So when you look at the retail price of all of these units, they're actually quite a bit cheaper than the comparable size units for other factions that are newer. And when you take that into effect and you look at like, well, what were the original prices of the things that are in the other boxes? This is about the same value as all the other ones. So the whole like, oh, it's the worst value is kind of a misnomer. It's still around $100 off of retail. And again, you can find these for less than retail. They retail for about $240 US. I've seen multiple online vendors pre-selling them at $210. And friendly local game stores that give discounts as well. So just something to think about. Now, moving on, how does this combine with the Combat Patrol? Well, the Tau Combat Patrol gives you a second commander. We'll get back to the second. A Devilfish transport, a squad of 10 breachers or a strike team, you can build them either way, 10 Pathfinders, and then 7 random drones. It's 370 points with the most expensive loadout. That gives you 905 points between the two boxes to start your Tau army. And the Combat Patrol sells for 142 online. I got a link down in the description below. A lot of people say that the Combat Patrol and the Retaliation Cadre Battleforce do not go well together because of the two commander suits. I could not disagree more. Normally, would you want to run 2 commanders? Well, I mean, it's probably not the greatest use of points, but it's not the worst. Remember, you can build it as either a Cold Star or an Enforcer. So you can easily build one as the Cold Star and one as the Enforcer and give yourself 2 different options to play. It also is going to save you 15 points, so you could bring something else bigger. They fulfill different roles on the battlefield. And again, if you magnetize all the weapon options, right, now you've got 2 very different commander units to use in your army, equip how you want, and go and play your Tau. So I don't think there's any problem in having 2 commanders. Next, the Devilfish. You definitely want transports. Devilfish is one of the best in the game. It's a huge model. In fact, I got one. Give me a sec. Booyah, there we go. Look at the size of that thing. It's way bigger than a Rhino. Even bigger than an Orc truck. Not as tall, but it's quite a bit wider. You've got these cool engine nacelles that rotate. You've got this cool nose gun thing that rotates. The little drones that go in here actually physically pop off, as you can see, and can go do drone things. And yeah, it's just a really, really fun model. It's also really kind of unique looking. And the great thing is these are the same chassis that they use for like some of their gunships and things like that. So you end up with quite a few of these in your army. Very cool looking with the robots. Yeah, and then you get your 10 breachers, which you could also build as a strike team. That's just the difference in the weapons on them. I wouldn't bother magnetizing those. It's super cheap and easy to get your hands on Tau battle line guys, so just build what you want. 10 Pathfinders, again, same kind of thing, even though those guys aren't the battle line. Again, it's 10 guys in a squad that go and do all of those great tactical things on objectives and whatnot. But it's a great combat patrol. It's as much as losing the Ghost Keel hurt, this is one of the better ones for replacement. The old one had the weird Tau Ethereal on the hover drone that's just a really ugly mini and not very good on the battlefield. And just, other than the Ghost Keel, it wasn't very exciting. This new one, I think, is a little bit more exciting and a little bit more reflective of the whole army. I love that this combat patrol gives you a battle suit and gives you a Devilfish. It is one of the few that gives you 2 different vehicle units. I love that it gives you the 2 different strike teams and a bunch of drones. It really gives you a good overall holistic collection of Tau. So when you combine these 2 forces together, I think it's a great starting point. And again, you're looking at 905 points at full loadout, 890 if you do the 2 different commanders, like I said, which is great because that gives you 110 points to run a crisis suit team, and that is your perfect 1,000-point entry-level army. So go buy a Battleforce, a Combat Patrol, and a box of crisis suits, and you will be absolutely just chef's kiss on the money for Tau. Now, I know one thing a lot of people are going to say is, well, what about just doubling up, right? I love cool robots. I want a bunch of them. Why don't I just get 2 of these? Well, you could do that. I don't know how often in-game you are truly going to take 2 Riptides because they are so big and so many points. But if you like cool robots, you like cool robots. I could personally see it. And again, I don't see anything wrong with having multiple commander suits. I think that they're a great unit. So if I had the teeth to go buy a whole bunch of battle forces and spend all my time building and painting models, I would certainly pick up 2 of these. Is it the best use of resources for starting an army? You know, I always recommend not just doubling up on a bunch of things, because it can get kind of boring to build and paint the same things all the time. I'm more of a spread it out and build all the different things and kind of get to know the whole army before you start adding multiples of the same thing besides your battle line units. So there is that. Same thing with the combat patrol. I mean, you could easily add a second combat patrol into your army. Again, second devilfish, another squad of pathfinders, another squad of breachers. Like, it'd be a good kind of combo in there. But, you know, again, you can buy the combat patrol anytime. It's easy to find, you know, the regular Tau units. I wouldn't bother with it. What I would do, if it was my money, and I was starting my Tau army, even as much as I love the big robots, I would actually buy the Crew Hunting Pack. Now, the Crew Hunting Pack was the army box that launched the new Tau Codex and the whole new Crew line. It's 360 points, which isn't very many. It's less than the Combat Patrol, right? But you get a War Shaper, a Flesh Shaper, 2 squads of 10 Carnivores each, 3 Crutox Rampagers, and a Crutox Rider. It's very much like the Beast Snaga army box that came out for Orcs in 8th edition. It was all of the new models in one box with a Codex, and it just didn't sell. As just absolutely cool as the crew are, it's an insane amount of money to do a whole crew army because the models are so cheap. I mean, a 10-man carnivore squad is only 65 points. Your character, the War Shaper, the leader of the whole army, is only 50 points. The biggest squad in the whole box are the 3 Crutox Rampagers, which is all of 95 points. None of them even crack triple digits. So it's just not a very big army points-wise, and then you got to build and paint a ton of little bird dudes. That being said, I think that the crew being a part of the Tau is really cool. I think that's actually one of the coolest things about the Tau that a lot of people miss, is that because they're a whole greater good thing and they want to assimilate other cultures into the Tau sphere, you can run armies that have all sorts of really cool different things in them. The new Vespid that just came out in the Kill Team box are wicked cool. So grabbing one of those Kill Teams, grabbing this Crew box, having the battle suits, having the Devilfish and all the little troop guys, you're going to end up with a very, very varied army of a lot of different things to paint. You get to paint your Vespid totally different than you paint your regular Tau, you know, Pathfinders and Breachers. You're going to paint all of your crew very different than you're going to paint your battle suits. It's going to give you a lot of different representation of the different kind of models Games Workshop does and the differences in the Tau army. It makes it 1,265 points to do the Battle Force, the Combat Patrol, and the Crew Hunting Pack. And again, I would go buy a squad of Crisis suits or 2 because it's really, they're the best things in the game for the Tau. And there's your 1,500 point army, and you've got a bunch of different options, and it's a whole lot of fun. That Crew Hunting Pack is only 160 bucks. That is an insane amount of models for 160 bucks. I mean, you're looking at 20 battle line dudes, 2 characters, 3 mounted dudes, and then the bigger mounted dude, the Crutox Rider. He's almost like a pseudo vehicle thing. That's a lot of cool plastic. Plus, and here's the bonus that this army gets that none of the other ones we've talked about this week get. That box has the current 10th edition Tau Codex in it. So when you buy that box, now you don't have to buy the Codex, and boom, you're done with the army. So if you are starting a new Tau army right now in 2024, go get the Crew Hunting Pack. Because shoot, the Codex is 55, 60 bucks on its own, so why not pay the 100 bucks to get all of the models that go with it? So yeah, Crew Hunting Pack, Tau Combat Patrol, Battle Force, sprinkle in as many Crisis suits as you want. The thing about Crisis suits is they come in 3 different flavors, so you can actually run 9 total Crisis suit squads, because you get 3 of each squad. And then there's 3 suits in each squad. Yeah, you can get a lot of Crisis suits, so buy as many as you want. Again, magnetize them, but there are 3 basic loadouts that have different data sheets, so you get to really kind of go bananas with those. And yeah, and there is your army. And that's why I think this box is one of the most exciting for new people getting into the army. It just offers a lot of value when it comes to getting all the robots in a box. That doesn't happen very often. I think the last time was actually the Apocalypse set, because all of the other battle forces before actually were a lot of the little foot troop guys. And again, with being able to get that Crew Hunting Pack for so cheap right now, getting into the army as a whole is it a pretty good proposition point. All right, that's going to do it for Battleforce Week. We talked about the Age of Sigmar Ironjawz one a couple of weeks ago, and on whether or not that converts into 40K very well. And now we've covered all 5 Warhammer 40,000 battle forces in depth so that you can better decide whether or not this is a good way to start an army for you. We'll be back with some more awesome, amazing videos later on in the week and in the month. In fact, a little preview for you for what's coming up. There's a holiday toward the end of this month called Thanksgiving. I hope you're ready. All right, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks everybody for watching the videos. Let me know if you've gotten this box, if you followed my advice, and what your Tau army looks like. I've had a Tau army 3 times now, one of which I built and painted the entire army. And every time I've had to kind of sell that army off to do other things. And it breaks my heart every time. And I really, really, really want to do a Tau robot army. But I got 5 other armies right now. And that one keeps hitting the back burner because I haven't gotten to all of those. So doesn't mean I can't want it. But I can live vicariously through you. Let me know what you did down in the comments below or over on our Discord server, which of course is always free. And I will catch you next time. Until then, what on?